Hello, good evening, my friends. I welcome you to another edition of Mentoring with Bola Adewara. As advertised, we want to look at the reading culture, our reading culture. Very sad, or very sadly, the white man will say if you want to hide anything for the black man, put it in the book. He will never read it. It's a very sad thing. But I believe that some of these things are changing. Some of this understanding is changing across the world now. The black man is reading. But I noticed that here in this part of the world, the reading culture is not really catching on, really. Because one, no one cares about it. Two, there are no libraries. Three, people don't even buy books. The books are not there any longer. Perhaps if we have books to be read these days, maybe religious books written by pastors or Christians all over the place. This kind of books that will even lead us into better life are not actually there any longer. Important books from different parts of the world are not entering. We have a very bad government. We don't have good leaders in this part of the world. They don't care. All they care about is money, how to steal money. I don't want to curse anybody, but certainly I know that the happiness of God is not with many of the leaders in this part of the world, not just in Nigeria, all over Africa. We have people who do not just care about our tomorrow. Anyway, today we want to look at 14 benefits of reading. It's about reading. We want to look at 14 benefits of reading, and then on Friday, we will be looking at how you can read. How you can read without stress. How you can read as much as 24 books in a year, even without you knowing. So I have been discussing this earlier, and I will show it to you by next week. But today, we want to look at the 10 benefits, about 14 benefits of reading. 1, readers become leaders. Readers, people who read book, they become leaders. Why do I say this? Reading gives you what we call the shortcut experience. It is not everything in life you would have seen. It is not everything you will have come through in your life. But when you read, it takes you through the experience of other people. You tend to read, you tend to know what has happened to this guy, that guy, especially biographies. Biographies will tell you what happened in the 40s, in the 50s. It will show you these big people you know. It will tell you the history of their lives. It's a shortcut experience. 2, why do we say readers are leaders? It eliminates blind spots. We all have blind spots. Areas of our lives that we are missing, areas of our life that people do not really care about, that we just miss there. We miss bits and pieces of them. You don't know what you don't know. If someone does not tell you, you won't ever see it because you don't know it is there. But when you read, it exposes you to this reality. The third reason why we say readers become leaders is that reading creates new beliefs for you. We aren't held back by what we don't know. We are often held back by what we know that isn't true. Every one of us has limiting beliefs about what life is about and what's possible. Reading gives you access to all kinds of inspiring stories and people. The fourth reason is why we say readers become leaders. It improves your relationship. The more you read, the more you start to enter into the minds of other people. Every book that was written by a different person with a unique viewpoint and set of emotions It helps you to enter into the lives of these people. You understand their lives, you understand the human nature, the human character. And anybody who understands how it feels with another person is on his way to leadership. Now, I want to move ahead now and look at benefits of reading. The second benefit of reading, it gives you a kind of mental stimulation. Just like any other muscle in the body, in the human system, the brain requires exercise to keep it strong and healthy. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Doing puzzles and playing games such as chess has a way, they've been found out to help the cognitive stimulation of the human brain. Reading promotes mental health. Research suggests that people who keep their brains active by reading or playing mentally challenging games like chess, they have about 2.5 times likely to suffer what we call dementia, or develop what we call Alzheimer's disease. So if you read regularly, you are exercising your brain. It will keep you away from dementia in your old age. The third reason, or the third benefit for reading, is it reduces stress. No matter the stress you go through, family stress, relationship stress, office stress, driving, mention it. All this dissolves away immediately you have a good book to read. For those who read, it's like watching movies. A well-written novel can transport you to other realm, while an engaging article will distract you and keep you in the present moment. Dr. Louis is a cognitive neuropsychologist. He said something in one book I read sometimes. He said, losing yourself in a book is the ultimate relaxation. This is particularly poignant in uncertain economic times when we are all craving a certain amount of escapism. A well-written substantial article can have same effect on you. The fourth benefit of reading is knowledge. Everything you read fills your head with new bits of information, and you never know when it might come in handy. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you become, and the better equipped you become in tackling challenges of life. Take for example, there's a program in Nigeria on television. We call it Who Wants to Become a Millionaire. Let me tell you some truth about this. Those people who win in that program, these are not people who deliberately pick a book and say, we want to read for Who Wants to Become a Millionaire. No, these are people who have been reading on their own. People who have been reading along the years, because some of the questions they will ask you, you don't even know from where it will come. It could be from a book you've read about 2 or 4, 10, 20 years ago. For instance, they asked a question that day that who wrote the book Treasure Island? I read Treasure Island when I was in Form 2 in secondary school in the 70s. And I remember Treasure Island. It was written by Robert Louis Stevenson or something like that. And that was the answer. So a reader, you don't just know the day. What you have read will become very useful to you. Additionally, here is a bit of food of thought. Should you ever find yourself in dire circumstance, remember that you might lose anything. Armed robber could come into your house. Fire could engulf your house, may God forbid. You might lose anything. You might lose everything. But remember, what you have read is yours for life. No one can steal what is there from you. They can steal your money. They can steal your car. They can't steal your knowledge. Number 5 benefit of reading, vocabulary extension or vocabulary expansion. The more you read, the more words you gain exposures to. and they inevitably make their way into your everyday vocabulary. Find time to check. There is phone in your hands. When you are reading a book and then you find some words that you are not really familiar with, pick your phone, and perhaps I want to advise you, download what we call this dictionary on your phone, because anytime you might just come across some words that you don't know, easily you can dial it, you can check it on your phone, and once you know the meaning, it becomes yours for life. When you see people who are very articulate, people who speak well outside, you like them. Do you think they achieve that by sudden flight? No, they read. I know of a man who went for an interview as a driver. He's a graduate from a university, and there's no, the situation of work here. And this man just said, well, let me take the job of a driver. But this guy is a connoisseur of books. This guy reads very well. He went for these interviews, and people were there. They were asking him questions. And the way this guy was just moving from one book to the other, moving from one experience to the other, these people look at him. Look, come. He was moving, talking about Socrates, talking about Plato, talking about Spinoza, talking about Leibniz, things like that, talking about music. And the MD of the company was there, and the man was looking at him like, this guy is better than a driver. Do you know the guy ended up becoming the personal assistant to that MD? He applied to be a driver, but they found out that this guy is beautiful upstairs. He moved immediately from being a driver to become the PA of the driver. Being articulate and well spoken of is a great help in any profession. And knowing that you can speak to higher ups and self-confidence can be a very great or an enormous boost to your self-esteem. It could even aid in your career, as those who are well-read, well-spoken, and knowledgeable on a variety of topics tend to get promotions more quickly and more often than those who are smaller, who have smaller vocabularies. And when I say vocabularies, I'm not talking of these big words. No, you're talking of the words, new words. You see, some of us will look the word, maybe you're speaking maybe common, you say maybe some common words, but you find someone who reads very well. He has another word for those words that everybody speak about, or speak of, or use when speaking. The sixth benefit of reading, it gives you a stronger analytic, it gives you a very strong analytic mind. You have a very good thinking skill. People who read well can predict where things will end. They can analyze easily. They are very confident. They know a good story when they see one. They are well sought for because people know their worth. Number seventh benefit of being a good reader is memory improvement. Reading helps you to remember an assortment of characters, their backgrounds, ambition, history, and nuance, as well as the very art and subplots that weave that very story together. You see, that's a very fair thing, bit to remember. But the human brain is very marvelous. The human brain is very marvelous. It remembers things. When you have passed through something in your life and you see it again, your brain quickly sends you an alert that, oh, I have seen this before. And they actually know where is it. So amazingly enough, every new memory you create forges new synapses and strengthens existing ones, which assists in short-term memory recall as well as stabilizing moods. How cool is that? Number 8, the eighth reason benefit of reading is it improves focus and concentration. When you read a book, all your attention is focused on the story. Now, when you pick a book, you start reading a book. You can imagine that kind of concentration you will have. It helps you to develop concentration. In this world where you pick a thing there, something will happen there, your phone is ringing, your message comes in, you pick your phone, you pick this, you want to do that there. But when you are reading, you move away, and then it gives you the ability to concentrate on what you are trying to do. Try reading for 10 to 15 minutes before work. If you take public transport, people don't do some of things like this in this part of the world. I have been able to travel out of the country sometimes, and I find that when you enter train or you enter buses or things like that, you find people with their books, they are reading. But in this part of the world now, what do? We pick phone, we go on Facebook or on WhatsApp. Well, it's part of reading. But I think let us develop the habit of reading things that would benefit us, not just pictures, videos, and so on and so forth. So when we look at issues like that, it helps us to do things in a very wonderful way. The ninth benefit of reading is that it gives us better writing skill. Let me tell you some truth about writing. There is nothing new in this life any longer. In the same way that musicians influences one another, painters' technique influences one another, the same thing with writing. There is no new book anywhere in the world. All we write now are what we have read before. Process them in our words, add our own experiences into it, and then we reproduce them as books. This goes hand in hand with the expansion of our vocabulary. You see how that man is writing, how this man is writing. You form your own pattern of writing also. Exposure to published, well-written works has a noted effect on our own writing. Someone like me, I have read the books of people like James Baldwin. It has assisted me tremendously. Anytime I want to write now, sometimes I go back and read his book, how he narrates stories. You know many of his works there. The 10th reason for reading is tranquility. In addition to relaxation that comes with reading, a good book, it is possible that the subject you read about can be of immense inner peace and tranquility for you. Reading spiritual books, marriage books, etc., apart from giving you some know-hows about life, it gives you peace of mind. It can lower your blood pressure. Posts on Facebook would even go a long way also in helping you. The 11th benefit of reading is like a free entertainment. When we were young in Kaduna, I remember that my friends and I, that time, people like Isa, John, and so on, only God knows where these guys are today, we read as a matter of competition. And then we will now sit down somewhere and be talking about the books. You know, I remember those days, there were books like, there were series like Pace Setter. There were books that were read at that time like James Hadley Chase, Robert Ludlum, Sidney Sheldon, Jeffrey Acker, Frederick Forsyth, Neil Carter. You know, there was another man too, Olaf Fagbamigbe, who had a kind of romance book. He was in Akure those days. People like these, they have written good works. And then for us, when we were younger, it was a kind of entertainment for us. We will go to the library in Kaduna. There was the Kaduna State Library, and by the side was the National Library in Kaduna. It became a rendezvous for younger people, for young people that time. All of us would gather. Have you read this book? Have you read that book? It assisted us tremendously. It was a kind of entertainment for so many of us. But now it's not like that any longer. What people watch now, BB Niger and all these things. I'm not knocking any program. I mean, those who love it, they love it. Good for them. But I'm saying that, look, let us cultivate the habit of reading so that it will be very wonderful for us. Number 12 benefit of reading is that it boosts sleep. This is very funny. I have seen people who told me that, look, Bola, when I want to sleep, all I do is I just pick a book. By the time I read first chapter or second chapter, I will sleep off. And people who read book will tell you, that most avid readers, there is nothing quite like falling asleep with a book in your hands. Reading is like a sleeping pill. It is relaxing and sleep-inducing, especially if you are tired and stressed out. Reading doesn't only help you to fall asleep, it also improves your overall sleep quality, since it is relaxing and helps you to distress. Reading can lead you also into a deep, restful sleep. Number 13 benefit for reading, you see, it improves your general knowledge. You become better at conversations. You become very better at conversations. If you want to be well-rounded human being, capable of holding a conversation on variety of topic, you need to be a good reader. Many of us will find guys like that. You stay with them and then you find that this guy speaks well. This guy knows this, knows that, knows this, knows that. He didn't read this thing overnight. It's a product of what he has been reading all his life. I have never met a well-read person who is not also an interesting person. But I've come across quite a number of boring people who clearly never open a book. Besides, the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle many things of life. Which brings me to the next point. Reading regularly gives me much to think about, which means I've got an endless amount of new topics to explore when I am with my friends. There is no good friend as a book. The best friend you can have in your life is the book. Number 14, and I will round it off here, is reading is contagious. Let me explain it to you. Reading is contagious. When you are a reader, you have a way of bringing your family, your children, your friends into the reading culture. It is good to know that you love to read. When your children know that, oh, daddy loves to read, they too will develop the habit gradually. When people around you read, you are more likely to be properly encouraged to do it better. You can take advantage of this fact by regularly reading out loud to your children at home. In turn, they are more likely to inspire their own kids to also become readers. In an age of information overload, it is fantastic that more and more people understand the benefit of reading. It is a fantastic way to expand the human mind. I believe you have gained something today. On Friday, that's the day after tomorrow, we'll be looking at how you can read without stress. And we'll be talking about how you can read 24 books within a year, even without you knowing. How to read 24 books in a year. Someone like me, I remember last year I read 18 books. This year, I've even gone beyond that. Many of them are e-books I read online. And some of the books here you see that I have in my library here. I am looking at the opportunity or to assist some of us to expand our mind, to move beyond the level we are, to a higher level, so that in our lives it will be easier in getting things done. On Friday, I will be teaching on how to read books without stress. How to read as much as 24 books, and I mean it. Keep a date with me on Friday, same time. And I want you, friends, to help me share this program, this broadcast among your friends, so that they too can benefit from it. I want you to like it, and I want to read comments from you. Whatever you think about this program, or what you think we should discuss, I'll be very glad to have it. I thank you so much, my friends. I love you all. The Lord be with you. See you on Friday, 7 p.m. Bye.